Welcome, everybody, to another edition of True Crime. Is This Real True Crime Podcast? I'm your host, JC3. As always, in the booth with me, I have Beans. Beans, say hello to everybody.
Hello.
I have Detective West with me this time. Detective West, say hello to everybody.
Howdy.
Howdy. We have Pope Tony the First.
I'm the Pope.
He's the Pope. He's Detective Pope tonight.
See?
As we have another True Crime episode, and welcome to our Patreon page. So, lady and gentlemen, tonight we have the, as what they're calling it, I believe now, the Idaho 4?
Yes.
The Idaho 4.
Is that what they're calling, like, the specific titles now?
Yeah.
Is Idaho 4?
That's what they're referring it to.
horrible because I just think of the Fantastic Four, and it's like it's not the best way to associate death.
The biggest thing that happened to Idaho since
You
potatoes.
took my joke from me, you piece of shit. Anywho, before we get into it, I know, again, we talked about this, we had some technical difficulties, but Mr. West, tonight's the first time you heard about this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Detective West, sorry. I
Yes.
apologize.
It's okay. Everybody
Detective
gets one.
Pope, when did you hear this?
I heard it on the news a couple weeks ago about the murder. And here's the weird shit about crime in America. Like, sometimes you just hear, like, a murder happened, police are on it, they found the killer, end of story. And then you get shit like this, which is like, it's like everyone's eating this up. It's like, this is on every major channel. Everyone's trying to figure this the fuck out.
Trying to distract.
And I'm sitting like,
Kind of like the Casey Anthony case.
Trying to
well,
It's
when
less than the Casey Anthony case.
yeah, it's less
Well,
than,
less,
because
like-
in that case, you had a little baby who died. This is for college students, and I think they got the guy. Like, he's in custody, but he hasn't had his day in court yet, so we'll see.
As Papa said, every weirdo has his day.
Yes, so quote Papa on that
What
one.
the fuck does that mean?
So I've actually, I don't watch the news as much anymore. So I'll be honest, I have heard nothing of this case.
Yeah.
So I did with the Casey Anthony case, I don't know if you remember what I did with the Casey Anthony case. I have my sheet in front of me, and I'm gonna go down the timeline with you, and I'm going to write everything down, and then I'm gonna solve it at the end of the episode.
Well,
That's what I did at the Casey Anthony. If you watch the Casey Anthony, I'm writing everything down, and that bitch did it.
I first heard about the Idaho 4 in November because it's huge on TikTok. I'm on True Crime TikTok. So it broke in November of what exactly happened and where the victims were and this, that, and the third. And I've been following it ever since. And it's, to be honest, it's kind of scary. Like, the first 2 months of the whole thing was scary. But we'll
To
get
me,
into
it
that.
just-
It's not even at 2 months. It's a month and a half.
Well, no, it happened
November 21st was the
November
murder.
13th.
Oh, November 13th. Oh, so it'll be exactly 2 months.
Well, it was exactly
It was
2
exactly
months.
2 months yesterday.
Oh, shit, yeah. I thought it was
So it's been
later
2
than
months.
that.
The first month of the whole investigation was scary because, well, we'll get into it. Let me not ruin it. Also,
No, please ruin it.
but I do want to put this out there. No disrespect to the victims or their families, no hate or anything of that sort. This is just for educational, informational purposes. That's why we're on this podcast. We're not here to, disrespect them or make it
Yeah.
sound like it was done for a reason or whatever the case is. We're just talking about it. But to me, it was scary within the first month or month and a half-ish, because no one had any idea how this happened.
Well, the reason why is because the police did their fucking jobs, in my opinion, the right way. They didn't come out every night and say, this is what we found today. They really just kept everything under wraps, said, listen, we're working the case. Every day we're getting some tips that are viable and we're following up. And when we know something, you'll know something. Everyone just shut the fuck up and let us do our job. And that's exactly what happened. What happened? A month later, the motherfucker is in cuffs.
Right. But, it's just the thought, because whenever something like this happens, or even if I'm watching like a documentary about a serial killer or something like that, just for whatever reason, I try and imagine it happening around me and like put myself in that situation, and the thought of like someone murdering they're not teenagers, they were adults, but 4
College
people.
kids, yeah.
For young adults.
4 young adults just murdering them and walking away. It's like,
Blind mice.
it fucks me up.
See, I look at it from the other end. I'm thinking of it in terms of the killer. Like, if I just killed 4 people, what am I doing next
Going to Burger
to
King?
avoid not getting caught?
I'd be hungry.
Bruh.
Let me be honest. I'm
And
Well,
sorry.
there's a
that-
lot of
I'll be
weird
honest,
things about this asshole too. Like,
Right.
I mean,
he's
you're-
fucking
you're-
ugly. Number
You're
one.
thinking like the one guy we'll do in a couple weeks, John List, where he killed his entire family, made a sandwich, and then went to Rite Aid, and then disappeared for 18
Dude,
years.
or
some people
if
have
you've ever heard
priorities.
of it, I forget what the case is called, but it happened in it happened in like Switzerland or something, sent in like the 1920s. Someone murdered an entire family. Stacked their dead. It was like a family of like 12, like parents, 10 kids.
yeah,
Stacked their dead bodies in the shed, then took over the house, and just cooked food and
Just lived in the
lived
house?
in the house as if it never happened.
Bro.
squatters' rights.
No. Wow. No. Okay.
Like crazy. But anyway, where do we start? Where do we
Yeah.
start? Let me start.
Uh,
Let's start.
Teresa, you're the one that
Okay.
is, so we'll sit here and we'll riff off
when was
what
the first body discovered?
We're gonna get to
we're
that soon.
getting to the timeline
So
right now.
I kind of put it in like categories. So the victims, the 4 victims were Ethan Chapin, 21. He was a freshman at the University of Idaho. All University of Idaho students, but he was originally from Washington State. Kaylee Gonsalves, 21. She's a senior. Xana Kernodle, 20, junior, and Madison Mogan, 21, senior. Those were the 4 victims.
So 20, 21-year-olds.
Essentially, yeah.
20, 21-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
It happened at an off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho. It's a 3-story, 6-bedroom college home that 3 of the 4 victims were renting.
Mm-hmm.
There was also an additional 2 roommates who were not victims but were in the house at the time of the murders. Dylan and Bethany. I didn't catch their last names, but Dylan and Bethany, and then there was a house dog that actually belonged to Ethan and Xana.
They didn't kill the dog, did they?
No.
No,
The dog was
dog
found
survived.
alive and fine. So that's the place and the victims, right? Do we get into the timeline now, or does anyone have any questions? Anything to add?
Well, I don't have any
Anthony?
questions. All you said was the victims.
I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah,
Anthony,
that's-
you had also did some research, so I don't know if you
No,
want to
that's-
add
I
anything.
mean-
So who was the first? So who was the first victim?
We're
Hold on, we're getting there. I
just
do
asked
know.
if anybody had any questions.
And my answer is we're gonna get to that.
So the night that they went out partying that night, and it was like a Saturday night, Sunday night.
Can I get to the timeline?
Yes, get to the
I'll
last
just
time.
do the timeline.
Start with the timeline, for
So-
the love of Christ.
November 13th, 2022, at approximately 4:17 a.m. That was the official statement was. The murders took place. But prior to that, November 12th, 2022, Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were at a party on campus from about 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. They came home at about 1:45.
They partied all day.
8 p.m. I'm sorry.
Okay.
8 p.m. to 9
College,
p.m.
bro.
They came home at about 1:45. Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonsalves, however you pronounce the last name, were at a bar from about, no, it's Goncalves. Goncalves? Weird.
Doesn't matter. She's not
She was
using it
white,
anymore.
so. Anyway, so Mogan and Gonsalves were at a bar from about 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. There was video from a food truck nearby that showed the victims at 1:41 a.m. They arrived at home at 1:56. So by about 2 o'clock, all of the victims were home
2 a.m.
in the house, about 2 a.m.
That's Saturday morning, right?
That morning, I don't know if it was a Saturday or not,
Yes.
but that morning.
At 2 a.m.
It's enough out of you.
So, a little history behind this, and this just added to what happened. From about 2:26 a.m. to 2:52 a.m., there were 7 phone calls made from Gonsalves' phone to her former boyfriend, Jack Ducour. The reason I'm mentioning that is because Jack became at one point a person of interest in this murder case.
Oh.
Yeah.
Of course, closest victims.
Hold on.
But he's no longer a suspect, not just because they caught the motherfucker, supposedly, but also because the murders took place 2.5 hours later.
Right,
So if she's calling him at 2 a.m, he wasn't there murdering him.
exactly.
I mean, he
And
could
then-
get there.
Also,
hours?
this was
No,
included.
yeah, he could have him, but like, he's fine.
Okay.
Also, this was included that there were 3 calls made to Madison Mogan's boyfriend between the hours of 2:44 and 2:52. This wasn't something that was a huge thing, but I might as well threw it in anyway. The final thing was that there was a DoorDash received by Kernodle at 4 a.m. and her phone had also tracked that she was on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. So the murders did not happen any sooner than 4:12 a.m.
Right.
Well, I mean, how do we know that? Like,
She was on TikTok.
you don't think the murderer could have been looking through her phone?
Why the fuck would the murderer go on TikTok?
I'll tell you why.
Does he want to do a dance?
No. It's not even
Maybe
that.
like a POV?
No.
You're murdering 4 college
No.
students?
Because it throws off timeline.
I don't think so.
If I'm thinking as a murderer, let me just put it like this: I'm gonna try to make them look as normal as possible.
That's
They're,
not what. That's not. You're not doing that. You're thinking way too much in the head, and it's fine that you're thinking that, but there's a reason why that's not the thing.
No, it's not fine that he's thinking that.
I don't think that the killer...
Shush, Detective West.
What do you mean? I'm watching you.
I don't think that the
All the
killer
time?
would think so much ahead to go on the victim's phone and, you know, try and
The
throw up.
question,
Yes.
outside of them renting out the college home, 3 of the 4 of them, what other relations did they have? Did any of them like major in the same thing? Were they in the same?
They were very good friends. That's all we
They
know.
were in the same sort of friend group though.
Yeah, they were all friends. In fact, one of their last Instagram posts was a picture of the 4 of them together.
Yeah.
I would think it were 2 or 3 of them together in the post.
Yeah.
Post. They were
Kaylee
good.
and Madison were best friends.
Yeah.
And Zaina and Ethan were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
So that's about all as we know. I don't know what they were majoring in. I don't know anything of that sort, but that's the timeline. Prior to...
I only ask because the person of interest or the person that they caught, I know that we'll probably get to that, but maybe was he someone outside of that friend group?
Yes.
Way the fuck outside.
Way outside
Yes.
the friend group, right? So he could have been.
I'll be honest.
He could have been someone in the.
He's so far outside that we're still trying to figure out how the fuck they knew one another.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
He could be that creepy kid, like in the class. It's just like
No.
the observant one.
yeah,
No,
they
it's
weren't
a little
in the
bit
I don't
different.
think they were in the same class.
They were
with
not
each
even
other.
in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
really?
was like 30
Let's
something.
He's
just put it like
28.
this. Let's
Yeah.
how about this? So
It's
so
like creepy.
how did
Right.
they?
He was a teacher's assistant.
Obviously, we don't know between the murders and when they caught this individual that they have. We don't know what happened in between. There's no major factors in between that we know that developed
Not
until
true.
the day.
I don't know what
That
you're
they
talking about.
Okay, so like when
How
you're
were they
talking
killed?
about timeline, like
They were stabbed.
you have when they were murdered,
Right.
Yeah.
and then when this person was caught. Those
Yes.
are 2 major timelines, factors in the timeline.
Yes.
Is there anything in between
Yes.
those 2 getting caught that led them to this
Yes.
individual?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that's
And I'm
how
getting
things
to that.
happen.
Or what I'm saying that they allowed us to know, because obviously they were.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, if you guys would sit here and let me talk and stop being arrogant.
I'm not being arrogant, but you're asking a question. I gave you an answer, and you're still asking the same question.
I'm not asking the same thing, but go on.
Go on. No, finish your sentence.
What I'm saying is, you both said that the cops weren't very talkative about what they were
Right.
talking to the news. So how do we know what led up to them finding this individual?
Because
I'll
there was
ta-
an affidavit
the
that was
affidavit
released,
was
documenting
released
the entire
afterwards.
thing between the day
all
that
my question
the
was.
murder was happened and when the suspect was taken into custody.
So the affidavit was after the
Yes.
suspect. Okay, so
In
that's
Idaho,
fine.
in,
So between
what is an affidavit?
an affidavit is a
Legal document.
a legal document that's used in the prosecution of the convicted
Mhm.
to use in court. So it's a sworn statement by
Okay.
the police saying this is what we did that brought us to catch this individual
Yes.
who we suspected committed this crime.
yeah, so we
In doing so,
we didn't know anything prior to that affidavit coming out.
correct.
Right.
That's what
Because
I meant.
in Idaho state law, you do not release the affidavit until you have someone. I think it's until you have someone in custody or an arrest is made.
So that was my question. It's like we were
that.
we were sitting
They don't-
here
they don't-
just wondering until
Right.
someone
Exactly.
got caught.
And that's why I said it was so scary for me because nobody was saying anything. And I'm sure Anthony will have more about this if he listened to whatever he listened to or whatever. But Kaylee whatever the fuck her last name is, his father was like flipping out on TV and on social media talking about, I know more. They're not letting me talk. This, that, and the third.
Yeah.
I know what happened to my daughter. So that coupled with we don't know anything got everyone like up in arms and scared, like, what the hell is going on with this?
Right.
There's a lot more than obviously the cops are letting on to. But so
Well,
Then
they're-
again,
oh,
then
that's
again
the
also
thing.
you're also looking at the perspective of a frantic father that just lost his daughter too.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's the
yeah.
other thing. Like, there always is more than what the cops
yeah.
are saying, because it's an investigation. It's an ongoing investigation. They're not going to sit there and be like, come out every night and be like, all right, just letting everybody know.
But and
This
they're
is
also
what we did today.
the-
Jeff clocked in at 8 a.m. and
the cops aren't going to go to like if he has a good tip, they're going to take his tip into consideration. We're not going to sit there and go, okay, Mr. Gonzalez, like, you lead the investigation. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like, dude,
Like-
we understand you lost your daughter and we're very sorry. Shut the fuck up and let us do our job. We're going to
Yeah.
bring the guy to justice.
well,
Hopefully.
so that's the timeline of what had happened with these 4 college students prior to the murders taking place. Now, with the murders taking place, this is what happened in the house, right? So, Kaylee, okay, I'll start here. Ethan and Zaina were sleeping in the same bed on the 2nd floor. Their boyfriend and girlfriend, so sure. Kaylee and Madison were both sleeping in the same bed on the 3rd floor.
Which sucks. They knew each other since they were like kindergarten.
Yeah, they've known each other
besties.
forever.
Yep.
Zaina was found on the floor. So I mentioned that because I'm gonna get to the next thing. So there are 2 other roommates that were in the house that were unscathed. They got out unscathed.
Mhm.
Dylan, let me flip my page here. Dylan was woken by noise, right? So I'm just gonna skip over for a second. Dylan was woken up by noise at around she said like 4:15, I believe, like around that area. She thought it was Kaylee and her puppy upstairs. The noise was coming from upstairs. She thought it was Kaylee and her puppy playing around, whatever. So she checked outside in the hallway. She saw absolutely nothing. Then she had heard someone say there's someone here who they believe was Kaylee Goncalves. That's who they thought said that. And then shortly after that, you hear a man say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
And the only man in the house at that point was the boyfriend Ethan, right?
Ethan,
Yeah.
who was on the 3rd floor. No, the same. Ethan was on the 2nd floor, and so was Dylan.
So Kaylee's the one that said there's someone here, and there was another man's voice on that same level that said, "I'm here
It's
to
okay, I'm
help."
going to help you.
Yeah, okay.
And the reason why she probably didn't freak out is because there was an Uber or a DoorDash delivery.
Right.
Was she aware that there was a DoorDash delivery?
I don't know.
Okay.
So she checks outside, she hears that. At about 4:17 a.m., security cameras around the premise pick up whimpering and barking and a thud.
But nothing on
there's-
camera.
Nothing on camera, so it's outside the house.
Okay.
So you see outside the house, but you hear whimpering, crying,
From inside the house?
a thud. Yeah.
Those are
There's
some really
also-
good mics.
Yeah,
There's
seriously.
also audio that I've heard of someone screaming, like screaming bloody murder. No pun intended, or all puns intended.
I don't think that's a pun.
But whatever.
Mm.
So there was security cam footage, and this comes into play when they came into searching for a suspect. But with Dylan, she heard that, but then she went back inside her room. Then she heard someone speaking, so she checked out again. And that is when she saw a man dressed in black with essentially a ski mask on, walk down the stairs into the, I guess it was like the kitchen area, walked right past her, didn't see her. She's not sure if the guy saw her or not. Walked right out the sliding glass doors in the back of the house by the kitchen. I would assume that's the kitchen area.
Where are there cameras in the back of the house?
Nothing. He wasn't caught. No, on camera.
And the only thing she said besides the only other additive descriptive factor was he had bushy eyebrows.
Bushy eyebrows, and he was like tall and lanky, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Dylan's encounter was. So,
Which I think,
mentioned-
honestly, she lucked out.
right.
I think he didn't see her because had he saw her,
It was
He probably
dark,
would've
right?
he
killed
would
her.
have killed. Like when we go a little bit later in this episode, we're profiling the accused, the suspect, the murderer. You'll understand why I'm saying this now, because it's like if he was there to just kill the 4 of them, he probably would have killed everyone in that house had he known there was anyone else in that house. but we'll get there.
All right.
So he leaves.
Yeah,
Right.
so he's out.
So he leaves, and that's pretty much it, right? For the time being.
So Dylan's-
hold on. 11 o'clock the next morning.
I was getting to
sorry.
that.
Yeah, so-
I mean,
so
like
Di-
what happens with the murders,
so,
like that's
so
it.
Dylan's the only one that saw this.
Dylan
this
is the
suspect.
only person who
Who's
saw
the other
that.
one besides Dylan that
Bethany,
survived?
but I
Bethany?
haven't heard anything about a Bethany.
Yeah, I didn't hear
I know
anything.
she's the other one, but I haven't heard anything from her that she heard
She
anything.
was asleep. She was taking
saw
a shit.
anything,
She
no
was
one knows.
out of the equation.
She was taking a shit again. That is brilliant bowel movement by her.
So what happens is the next that morning, November 13th at
She went out for a sneaky.
probably at 11:58 a.m. 911 was called, which I think is fucking weird. But with Dylan, she just locked herself in her bedroom, and that's the last we know about Dylan.
Well, I mean, these are
11
college.
13th, 11
11:13.
These are college kids, and if you're going to bed at 5 in the morning, you're waking up around noon.
You're right, but to me personally, like I don't know how she fell back to sleep, knowing that she saw someone walk by her.
Right, I would.
I would have called the cops right there.
It is
I would
weird.
have
I'm not gonna
explosive
say
diarrhea.
it's not.
not gonna lie.
Explosive diarrhea?
Oh fuck yeah,
Like your entire
dude!
room
I'm
would
scared
just
of my
be
own
brown?
shadow. You think I'm gonna if I find somebody in the house who's dressed in black and leaving my house? Oh no! But anyway,
Yeah, but that's my
I
thing.
am shitting
that-
my pants.
That right
I'm
there.
gonna shit my
Not that-
socks.
Okay.
Spontaneously shits.
Not that is doesn't sit there and like we're accusing her of doing anything or any foul play on Dylan's part, but if you see someone that you don't recognize in your house wearing a ski mask, even if it's one of your friends joking around, but you knowing that there's only one male in the house, and you see another male walking out of your house, why aren't you calling 911?
Well, because there's no reason. Okay, someone walks out of your house.
There are also kids thinking themselves.
There's
that
also
they ain't no-
4
that they ain't no
people
snitch.
upstairs, and there's no noise coming from there. So I can understand someone going, well, it's weird, but I have nothing other than the guy just being here. There's nothing. Maybe it was one of their friends. Maybe it was
Wearing a
somebody.
ski mask?
It's fucking January. It was November.
Who knows?
In Idaho.
In Idaho, it was snowing
Either
already.
way, like
It gets quite chilly there.
You're right, but I'm sorry, but either way, if you don't recognize somebody, I'm not gonna sit there and like turn around. Like at first, I would be texting all my friends like, "Did you leave someone?"
Who knows what was going through
My
Dylan's
Also,
thing
not-
is,
not to
if-
mention,
if
like-
I'm sitting there like, oh, they're trying to steal something out of the house. You know what I mean? Like that's a robbery at 5 o'clock in the morning, or
I mean, don't
4 o'clock in the morning,
You're
you know?
also like,
I
remember,
heard
this
a
is
noise.
Moscow, Idaho. Not many things happen in Moscow, Idaho.
The last murder in Moscow, Idaho, was in 2015.
like, yeah,
okay. So I mean,
So-
it's only
they're
6
very
years, I
lax
mean,
with their security there. It's
But
like,
anyway,
no one gives a fuck.
So-
fine.
this
Guess I'm
leads
the
us
only one
to
who
the
that way.
police getting called. The police got called at 11:58 a.m. that morning. The call was made from inside the house. The person who made the call has not been released yet, so we do not know who called the cops.
Well, it's either one or the
It's
other.
it's either Dylan
Everyone
or
else is
Bethany.
fucking dead.
I don't know. I don't know who it was. They haven't released anything.
All right.
So the call was made from inside the house, and the call was made for aid for an unconscious person.
Mm-hmm.
That is why the person called the cops. They said, I need help. There's someone who's unconscious. They're not waking up on the second floor. So my guess is either Ethan or Zaina.
Which is
Strange,
strange.
because the reports said that all of the walls in the victims' rooms were splattered with blood.
And not to mention they were fucking stabbed.
And they were, right.
This sounds like a Scream movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're going to miss the stab. It was like she's looking at the stab and like, no, she's just not breathing.
All right, so you don't
Right.
call anybody at 4 o'clock
Like,
in the
it's
morning when
concerning.
no one's there, and now you're not gonna come out and say whoever it was, and you're gonna say it was an unconscious person.
Right.
You also, I will say this: we didn't hear the 911 call. We don't know what she said on that call. It could be she could be in hysterics, and this is the 911 operator interpreting what she's trying to say. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Well,
so
yeah,
Well,
I
we're
mean-
not going to know until that's
you know what I
but
mean?
there's
Like,
a- there's a big
if I'm on the
difference.
other, if I'm on the operator, I'm like, okay, ma'am, stop crying, stop. Is she breathing, ma'am? Is she conscious? No. All right, fuck it. I'm putting it down as
Right,
someone's
unconscious.
unconscious.
I,
Get
I
out
can
there and
see
fix
that,
her.
but there's also a big difference between saying that there's an unconscious person and then there's fucking blood on that everywhere. Like
Right,
if I
well,
hear someone,
if she's in
there's fucking
hysterics,
blood everywhere.
Yeah, but if
Well-
she's in hysterics, we don't know what she said.
Well,
Can
911
we carry on, please?
Oh spot. Okay.
Thank you. Anyway, so the police arrive. There's no sign of forced entry or damage. It doesn't look like anything is missing from the home. It just looks like a normal house.
Except for the blood
Mind
on the wall.
you, I mean, who knows how the police came in, because there was an entrance on the first floor and the second floor. So if they came in on the first floor, they're not seeing shit. So until they get to the second floor. But I don't know. All 4 of the victims were pronounced dead at 12 noon. So given 2 minutes, which is weird to me.
Wait, what?
Small town.
Yeah,
So you tell me the cops got there in 2 minutes?
that's what the reports that I was reading said.
I mean,
So-
okay, I mean, nonetheless, they had campus people. This was not on the college campus,
It's
right?
an off-campus.
It's an off campus.
yeah.
Not unless the police station was like right there.
Yeah, it's very possible. I
Yeah.
don't know how close it is.
So it leads us into the investigation. So the investigation is obviously being led by the Moscow Police Department with the support from the Idaho State Police. So
and the Fibby.
what?
FBI.
Oh. So a couple of days later, they release a statement that murders blah blah blah. The police begin requesting that any video of the house that had been recorded of that night, of the night of the murders, be sent in. So by December 5th, about a half a month after the murders took place, there were about 2,600 email tips, 2,700 phone calls, and then 1,000 media submissions. All tips of videos, suspects, people they think may have done it. A huge one was the ex-boyfriend from
2 in the morning.
2 in the morning from Gonsalves. But it was disproven because he was nowhere around at that time and the calls were incomplete. She never actually spoke to him. And he had like alibi upon alibi of where he was that night. So that was disproven.
That he had anything to do with it.
Right. By Christmas Eve, 12/24, there was over 15,000 tips that were sent in. And out of these tips, they came to a conclusion that there was a white Hyundai Elantra between 2015 to 2020 model Hyundai Elantra circling the house. So that is where that kind of led up to the individual who is now in custody. But their suspected timeline of this Hyundai Elantra and this perpetrator, or whatever you want to call him, was based on security camera footage around the home that they found he was circling the house every so often. At about 4:04 a.m., he was found parking. They suspected that around 4:09 a.m., he entered the home through the back sliding door. And then between the time of 4:10 and 4:18, the murders took place, as the car is seen backing out and driving away at 4:20. So
You worked fast.
Very quickly.
very quickly, if you look it up, there's a lot of people doing mock like 3D videos of how he entered the house and this,
you know
that, and
there's
the
gonna
third.
be a movie about this.
He went to the 3rd floor first. That's what they're suspecting.
That's
and
smart.
came
You
down
work
to
your way
the
down.
second. And then eventually walked, that's when Dylan saw him leaving. So because of that between 2015 2020 Elantra, they went through records of over 22,000 Hyundai Elantras in that area and came down to a man named Brian Koberger, who's fucking ugly as sin.
That's so wild because when I saw who he was, I was like, wait, I know this name because I worked with a Brian Cole, but it was a different last name. It was a little bit different. Shout out to you, Brian, out in Indiana.
What?
It's also a different state.
Yeah, but I thought it was him for a split second. I'm like, no, not Brian. But
He didn't do
I
this.
don't know the accuser. I'm just going with that right now.
So
Alright, so Brian Koberger is his
Brian
name.
Koberger. So surveillance video showed that the Elantra passing by the victim's homes 3 times, beginning around 3:29. At 4:04, the Elantra returned to the home for a 4th time. At 4:20, the vehicle was seen leaving the victim's home at a high rate of high speed. So kind of like dipping the fuck out. Investigators traced the car back to Mr. Brian Koberger. And if you look up the videos of him being stopped, have you ever seen the traffic cam footage?
No,
or
I haven't, but it's
the
out
body,
there. It's been
the
released.
body cam footage. The cop pulls him over, and he's in the car with his father. Now, the investigators were claiming that he was going in the direction of Pullman, Washington. I don't know why, but sorry, I hear noise and I'm getting nervous.
You're just making yourself nervous. There's nothing.
Yeah,
making you
you're
nervous.
talking about something you're very scared about.
Anyway, if you look at the video, the cop mentions the murders. And his father turns around, and now Brian's driving, his father's in the passenger, and his father turns around and says it's something to the effect of like, it's really terrible or it's really gruesome. The way Brian Koberger's face changes, like he looks at his dad in this like
Petrified look.
Caden's calling me. Hold on. What's up?
I don't know.
We're podcasting right now.
So I'm just gonna take over from here for a
Why? What's
moment.
wrong?
Nothing about anything special. So,
I could edit this out, I guess.
do you know that there are more nipples than there are
Joey,
people?
can you send Caden the Peacock login, please?
I don't have the Peacock login. In fact, the Peacock login might be done because it's through my account.
So you don't have the Peacock login, but it's through your account.
What I'm saying, it's through my phone bill.
You're gonna have to give us a couple of minutes because he doesn't think he has it anymore. I think I have Peacock, but I'm potting right now, so I'll have to tell you when I'm done. Okay.
You know, ancient sea monsters are just
All right.
wild dicks.
Anyway,
We'll zoom in 5, 4, 3.
so the body cam footage was just fucking terrifying. Just the way his face changed. He had this face of like, don't speak, like shut the fuck up kind of thing. But
Come on, Dad, you're giving me away.
so investigators traced the ownership of this vehicle to a local individual, Brian Koberger, who drove the car with his father to the Poconos of Pennsylvania for the holidays, but was pulled over twice with a nearly 5-mile radius by Indiana State Police on Interstate 70 outside Greenville, Indiana, for speeding and tailgating. The FBI denied allegations that they had directed the Indiana State Police to make the stops. Investigators obtained cell phone data that showed that Koberger's phone had stopped connecting to the network around 2:47 a.m. in Pullman on November 13, before reconnecting around 4:48 a.m. near Blaine, Idaho. So his phone disconnected in Washington and reconnected after the murders on November 13th around 5 a.m. in Idaho.
And Koberger, it was a teacher's assistant at a school in Washington where he was pursuing his PhD in criminology.
Criminal psychology, yeah. So, and there's also been
So what is this
speculation.
motherfucker trying to be Batman?
Well, there's also been speculation that he had online chat rooms, like a Google Doc, asking people, if you were a serial killer, what would you do?
That's actually proven because what they did was while he was getting his undergrad, he had posted something to Reddit, and this was approved by the school. And in that document, we said this is completely anonymous, and his Reddit name was like criminology_student.
How original.
I know. So he put up this.
It's smart though.
He put up this Google Doc.
He's not that smart. He got caught killing people.
That's true, and in the dumbest way. I'll get to that in a moment. He put up this document on Reddit. Said, "Listen, if you ever committed a crime,
Hypothetically, it's a wild hypothetical.
I have a document I want you to be a part of because we're doing research. I want you to open this link, tell us what you did, but he broke it down in like 5 big questions, and each question was like, hey, like when you were thinking about doing the crime, what were you feeling emotionally? When you were preparing to do the crime, what were you feeling emotionally? When you were carrying out the crime, what were you feeling? And describe it in vivid detail emotionally. When you were walking away from the crime and you were cleaning the blood off your prick, what feelings were you, emotions?
That's specific.
All my point is he asked this very, very specific questionnaire at every moment of when someone would be, of a crime, what they were feeling emotionally.
Yeah, because psychopaths aren't capable of feeling.
And that was sanctioned by the
thought that
school
was
he was
sociopaths.
going
Sociopaths
to.
are created by society. Psychopaths are born.
Correct. And that was sanctioned
he has
by
a
the
lot of-
school.
He has a
that
lot
he
of
was
experience with it.
going to, because he was a student there. So you had this weird fucking questionnaire.
What if he's like, yeah, this was all because I had like a paper
term
due?
paper.
Well, before that, I don't know. This
What
was
hell
my
of a thesis, my guy.
That's the word I was thinking about, a thesis.
But prior to that, years ago, it was like 2010. He had written some things online that are very like, you look back now, it's like the signs were there. It was like I can't feel.
Every killer has shown displays of like a cry for help in some sort of way.
Yeah, like his thing was I
You
can't.
just never see it until it's
Too late.
until bodies start popping.
Yeah, it's like his thing was like I can't connect emotionally to people.
There you go.
I cannot feel for anybody else.
So
Something's wrong with me, and I want to know why. But that was like a couple of things he wrote back then, and then he lived 13 years, as far as we know, with nothing.
it's like Jesus.
And he does this.
The messed up part, if
I'm sorry, Jesus.
if they turn around and
I know.
again that they haven't gone through the court
So it sounds
process
like-
yet or anything like that. Right?
No, yeah, that no.
We're at this point where they haven't gone through the court process, the trial, or anything like that. So we don't know if he's going to be found guilty or not, even though there might
Yeah,
be
right now he
a
is.
Well, there's-
substantial amount of evidence
There's
against him.
further.
Oh, there's a lot more.
Well, just on hearing that sort of stuff, not even as a psychologist, just going off of what I can hear from this guy, it sounds like he just grew up, I'm guessing, emotionally neglected by his mother or father that were probably not in the picture or something.
Nope. As far as I know, they're both still his parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so they're still both there. Why else would you be emotionally neglected?
Well, let's just put it like this.
It could have just been it could have just been a preconditioned thing where he was just born like that.
And also, I think if you're gonna sit there and say that this guy was a criminology psych major, right? That's what he
Mhm.
was. You wouldn't question. I mean, those questions when he was younger, like, okay, yeah, that's a little daunting to see from a younger kid.
Sure.
But the stuff he was doing on Reddit, you would sit there and go, if he's a psych major,
Oh no, that was okay. That was.
you're
sanctioned.
sitting there like, okay, like he's just a student looking.
Right. It
Yeah.
just looked like he's looking for ideas.
Exactly.
He's just
like
collecting
connecting
data.
data.
One of he got recommended to do his PhD.
Data, which
Yeah.
one you say?
He got recommended to do his
Data.
PhD at the
Data.
school in Washington, and his teacher from his master's class said, "There's only two people I've ever recommended, and he's one of them because he was that good of a student."
And also, I think to add, if he is found guilty for this crime,
He's gonna be found guilty, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
it will be. This is a federal charge because it crosses state lines.
Yeah.
So he's not. They're not gonna go with the insanity thing.
Well, he hasn't done anything yet, but also,
And that's
Has
also.
he denied any of that?
I don't think there's been any word from him at
No.
all.
They had
No.
they had their what is that
This is
called?
only. I'm sorry. This is only the what, second hearing?
yeah, the second
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, it's still
Okay.
They
developing.
had
The
one.
first one was there to
Very
read the
early.
charges.
Yes.
Yeah, the first one was there to read the
And
charges.
if you watched that first hearing when they were reading the charges, I watched a little bit
He
of
looked
it.
like he just
He looked
wasn't
like
there.
he didn't give a fuck. He was just sitting there like,
There was like at one point he like
Yeah, he's
he
trying to-
he
it
was
sounds like
looking
he's trying to
straight, but
comprehend.
you can see him look to the side and he sees all the media that was there, and people are like, oh, he smirked, like he went like that, and people are like, oh, he's laughing, he thinks this is funny. It's like he just doesn't have any emotion. I don't see anything on his face, not even
Yeah.
a smirk, not even
It's
anything.
a
You
psych.
don't
It's a
have
sociopath.
Well,
Was he? Yeah, that was he was created. So he was created to be conditioned without emotion.
We don't know that. I mean, but still, like, there's all that shit, and so he goes to.
He has to.
After the murder,
He has to be psychopathic because he doesn't have a conscience about it. But he doesn't feel any type of
emotion.
remorse.
but we also
Right.
haven't heard anything from him. We
True.
haven't had a statement.
and after the murder,
Nothing's been broken from
Oh,
him directly.
just off
so
of the body language though, that we're getting at.
yeah,
It doesn't. There's no sense of
my
actual
question for you
empathy
is
from that.
for anybody. Again, everybody in this booth
It's
has
still
never
a
been
developing-
something like
it's
that.
Still
Yeah.
a developing thing.
So, as far as and I don't,
I
none
have
of us
more
were.
information.
No, I
about
know,
it.
I know that. I just want to get this one last point out. He could probably not be showing any emotion right now because he's probably still processing all this shit within himself. That could be a reason also.
Well, that's why I want to
Fuck
kind of
that
bring,
reason.
but that's why I want to bring up
It's
what
a poor
because
excuse, but there's
this-
no regard for human empathy at that point. because he doesn't know how to. He doesn't
But
know how to.
These murders, didn't as far. No, you're good. As far as the cell phone usage and things like that, and the investigating that they've done so far into him and his history, they're not like a spur of the moment kind of thing. So,
Oh no, that takes planning.
blah, 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 blah.
Premeditated, correct?
So,
This
cell
would
phone
be,
data
yeah,
also shows that he
premeditated.
was near the victim's residence around 9 a.m. on November 13th, about 5 hours after the killings. But police also obtained data that indicated he was near the residence at least 12 times between June 2022 and November 13th.
So he was watching them for 6 months.
Yes.
Oh, that's mostly
That
that's
is
all.
That's
that is the
fucking
definition
premeditated.
of premeditated.
Investigators had additionally obtained a sample of DNA from the crime scene that did not belong to any of the victims. The DNA was found on a tan leather knife sheath on Mogan's bed. Using a public genealogy database, authorities identified a partial match to an individual with a familial connection to Koberger.
That's not.
Investigators then traced the DNA to Koberger by matching it to the DNA found on the trash that was recovered from his family's home.
That's
in
what I was gonna
Pennsylvania.
say. Like that. Yeah, they did the genealogy thing, but the FBI also went to the Koberger residence in the Poconos.
Yes.
and they
watched
found
him.
something that. No, not Washington, in
I
Pennsylvania.
said watched him.
I watched him. Yeah, they dug through the trash and found something that the father DNA had. Like it could have been a cup, could have been a napkin, something like that. And they took the knife sheath that was left at the scene of the crime, which had DNA on the button clasp, and they matched it to the trash outside the home, and they said, yeah, it's 99.9996% a match, which means it's a familiar match, which means that the DNA we pulled out of the trash and the DNA from the knife is the child of the DNA that came out of the trash.
Yep.
And that's how they nailed his ass.
So prior to the arrest, he was arrested on December 30th, but prior to the arrest, investigators monitored Koberger
The new year.
outside of his parents' Pennsylvania home. He was seen multiple times wearing surgical gloves and observing putting trash bags inside of the garbage can of a neighbor. The items were also sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing.
Mhm.
Authorities also said Koberger had cleaned his car inside and out, not missing an inch. A surviving roommate, which would be Dylan, who saw the suspect, described him as a male stranger that was around 5'10" and not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, and if you look at this
Does this kid,
motherfucker,
does he have bushy eyebrows?
Yes.
yeah, you look at the motherfucker's picture.
Mm.
He's definitely lanky. You could tell he's
Oh.
thin, tall. His eyebrows are, I mean, I don't know if you say they're bushy, but you know,
I mean, that's also a weirdly generated photo too.
yeah, it's a low quality photo, but it's him. It's him. So they got
He looks like off-brand Joe Flacco.
and all the knife and all the wounds were stab wounds.
Look at his face.
You could tell there's nothing in his face.
Yeah, there's
by
nothing
a
behind
large
those eyes.
knife.
You
That's
know,
what.
K-bar
You know
knife.
what that looks like? That looks like a beat. That looks like a poor man's Christian Bale in American Psycho.
He looks like Ted Bundy.
Ted
So-
Bundy and Christian Bale had sex.
And
So you have
and
What-
made a disturbing
Child, yes.
so it's a K-bar knife.
spawn of evil.
So it's a K-bar knife that did the deed.
I don't know what a K-bar knife is.
And they
K-bar knife
also
is one like it's a military blade with a very serrated edge.
Oh,
It's like made for damage.
It's like a Bowie knife.
Yeah, it's made for fucking damage.
yeah.
And this
You
dumb
remember the big-
motherfucker,
you
you're
remember the big,
studying
huge-
criminology.
And you leave a
big
sheet.
huge knife that we played in Black Ops. And you remember that one mission?
Yes.
When you sneak around through the camp and you got that big, huge ass fucking
Yeah.
machete of a knife. That type of knife.
And if you're studying criminology and you're trying to get in the mind of a criminal, so you decide to become a criminal, don't leave anything behind.
Stupid.
If you're going to commit
Fucking
murder, if anyone's
Batman.
out there listening and you're thinking of committing murder,
No.
Don't.
No, we're
Shut
not
up.
doing that.
don't leave anything behind.
He takes Muay Thai.
I've been Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
All I know is I think that they have their guy, especially with DNA matches, this, that, and the third. But
They didn't take anybody else into custody.
No.
for
they
this,
did
right?
not. They
It was
took
They
just-
didn't
people
need
in
to.
for
It was a
questioning.
one and
but-
done.
And
Even all the
the
students-
captain of the police department was on was doing a interview, and they said, like, do you believe you have your guy? And he was like, oh, 100% we believe this is the man.
But when he was arrested, he asked, did you get anybody else?
Right.
Which is fucking weird.
He asked, well, who else did you, like, did you get anybody else, or who else did you get, like, whatever, but
well, how did he phrase it? Did you arrest anybody else, or did you get the others?
I think he said, did you get anybody else?
Because if you
or
turn
was
around,
anybody else arrested?
What does anyone else?
No, he said, was I the only one you caught?
when that
would, if he's trying to play mind games, he's trying to allude to the fact that there was more than one person.
Here's my question. Oh, and by the way, as the teacher's aide, after the murder, all like there was like he was just giving out 100s on all the tests and shit. Like students were like, "Hey, you passed me, and I don't think I did that well in this test." He's like, "No, you're fine." And he was haggard, and he was growing like it was like he was more jumpy and preoccupied. Somebody said. But here's my question.
My answer to you is this:
how the fuck? What the fuck connects him to the people he murdered?
That's the whole big question.
Because there's not like
nothing's come out that they've even had classes together.
Yeah,
I don't think there needs to be.
But
if he was taking college, they weren't in the same college, right?
No, I think he studied at the University of Washington.
Yeah, if he was in Washington,
like
he probably just went to another state and said,
could have been Facebook stalking them or something.
There's got to be something more than that.
To do it for 6 months.
Yeah,
one of the girls might have caught if he was completely.
I know exactly.
He had shy dick. You know, he had to build himself up a little bit.
I know exactly what happened. Homeboy was monitoring them. I couldn't English for a second.
It's okay.
On the internet.
You have weed and energy drink in you. I'm surprised you haven't exploded yet.
And ice cream.
And
gelato, actually.
Exactly.
Healthy. Anyways.
Oh my God.
So what happened was that homeboy saw the girl with the boyfriend on the internet, and then he put in his head, that's my girlfriend. And he got a little jealous and found out where they
well, it's either that
where
or
they resided, and
he had one of the other girls
to
also.
Take the law into his own hand.
Just think, he could have also turned around.
Nuts, bro. He could be fucking nuts.
Moron.
He could have also saw the other
together.
two girls that he killed and fancied one of them.
Well, so far, fancy. What are you, British? So far, there has not been
He had to have been disrespected at some point.
any kind of confirmation or any kind of statement made that there's any connection between Kohberger and the victims. Now,
well, hold on, T. When you say triggered or anything, that means there was a pre-conversation before.
Well, something had to.
6 months.
Well, something had to.
What if he just turned around and said that
if you're watching these, something has had to happen.
Or he just went across state line, went to another college, and just stalked people.
True.
Because if he's premeditated and he's sitting there like, okay, I want to do this, I want to commit this crime, and he's premeditating it, because obviously he premeditated if he's stalking for 6 months. He might have just went to a different college that's not in his state, so it doesn't really lead back to him, and then he would have just turned around and stalked these people in another state.
Declare these as my victims,
and saw and then just picked up, oh, these two girls that know each other, best friends. Oh, they live off campus. Oh, it's Idaho. There's 5 people within 80 miles of each other.
There's a lot.
Boom, right
actually,
there.
but there's
a lot of what ifs with this.
They're closer to the borders, both of them. Like he's within 15 minutes of the house.
well, they're still unsure whether he targeted the victims, like he targeted the individuals, or he targeted the residents. That's what they're still unsure of, because it is a 3-story house. Who know? What if he was like trying to play like he was trying to get points and he was trying to murder like 10 people at a clip?
Yeah, that's.
And he went to saw the house, and was like 3 stories. Fuck, there must be mad people who live in that house.
That is the scary part. It's like
could have grown up in
with
that house.
with most murders.
It's an off-campus college house. Though.
Yeah, like see with
and he lived in Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah, but he was living in Washington State getting his master's.
No, he
PhD.
said he might have grew up in that house. Like, no, he has no connection.
Oh
to the
yeah.
house or those people.
See, like most murderers, they look at people like. Oh
Bro,
my God.
what the fuck?
Use your freaking hands.
So sometimes when like murderers kill people, they do it because
My
like
temper gets me for a second.
Exactly, your temper gets to you.
Yeah, but he didn't stab me. Please don't stab me.
I won't.
Don't Muay Thai me either.
Muay Thai.
I have more control than that. It's your brother. Come on, man. He deserves the elbow every once in a while.
It's true, I do.
No,
He
he
deserves a
deserves
fucking
every
drop
while.
kick. When's Royal Rumble?
And my question for you is, why the hell did you say
How
Muay
did-
Thai?
Muay
Thai,
Thai?
not Muay Thai. It's Muay Thai.
It's the 28th, so 2 weeks from now.
But
Anyhow.
yeah, you were saying?
So, like,
Not Muay Thai.
when a murderer kills someone, usually there is like a reason behind why they're doing it.
Speaking
It's-
from experience.
It's a lover, it's an ex-lover, or the bitch took my kids, or
There's a 10-year difference.
Dad-
in John Wick's case, you killed my dog.
dad kept
And
me in the
stole my
basement.
car.
After watching that first movie, I understand why he went fucking psycho. That dog was adorable, little Daisy.
Dad kept me in the basement for
And
10
that was the
years
last
and forced
Bro,
me to have
okay,
his
we
babies.
get it, we get it, we get
Died
it.
of cancer.
Joseph Fritzl was the father of the year.
Fuck you.
We should
Okay,
do that as a
fuck
true-
yourself.
We should do that as a
You're
true
not
crime.
funny.
Well, that's we should do that this season on True Crime.
Okay, what is your point?
My
Anthony?
point is, nobody looks at a house and goes, "I'm gonna kill everything in that house."
Like,
No,
You know what I mean?
No sane human being.
No one does that.
I want that one.
Like, there's gotta be a reason why these people were
What if he
targeted.
just wanted the house?
No.
No, there's
wouldn't
got to
have
be
left
a
the house.
reason why these people were targeted. And I'll tell you why
I'm
it
the
wasn't.
captain
I'll
now.
tell you why he didn't target the house. It's because there was 2 people left in that house who were still alive. If you were serving,
Well, first of all, we know of Bethany. We know of Dylan. I don't know who the fuck or where the fuck Bethany's at all this time.
if you're targeting a house,
That's the other person he was talking about.
if you're targeting a house and you're thinking like for 6 months, I'm gonna destroy everyone in that house, then you would know how many people live in that house.
I hate the way you worded that.
6 months go by and you're casing this place. You're gonna tell me that you don't know there's 6 people who live in this house? 5, really?
5 because Ethan didn't
Because the
live there.
boyfriend was, he was there for some time.
I have a
but
question.
like
Do we know who he went after first?
the 3rd floor.
The 3rd floor. So
who
that
was
would
on the
be,
3rd floor?
That would be Maddie and Zane. That would
The
be
boyfriend and the girlfriend, right?
Kaylee
No,
and
the 2
Madison.
2 girls.
And it's claimed that Kaylee had the worst.
Hygiene.
No.
What?
Had the worst.
And that's
Yeah.
why he killed her, because her coochie smelled.
No
She was
disrespect.
brutalized
I'm
the
so
worst.
sorry.
She
She
was
was-
brutalized the worst.
I'm
So
sorry.
So that's-
But
that's-
hold on,
I'm
wait,
telling you-
wait. There's more, and I missed it.
that
Hold
has
on.
to be it. That has to be. He went cross campus. He went cross state lines. Said, I want to do this, but I'm gonna case out. He saw this pretty girl, and
It's
Boom.
too empty
Oh, I
for
found
me.
it. I found it.
That's
Hold on,
too
hold on.
empty
he's
for
an
me.
empty
So-
person if you look it up.
Hold on. I
Nah,
have
that's
one
too
more
empty
here.
for me.
I
I
know,
want
I know.
more.
When you turn around
Literally.
and you especially when you're younger and you say I have no feelings for anyone, you're not gonna have any. And
Yeah, but Anthony also sat us down when we were kids and told us all of us that he hated us, but he
And
didn't
look
kill
at
anybody
him.
yet.
Yeah, but at the same time, like there's a certain pattern with
He
a
also
lot
watched
of.
The Crow one too many times.
There's also a pattern with killers. Like you find out that as a child that they were abused or they abused animals. Is there anything in this guy's history that would suggest that he did anything like that?
We haven't heard anything.
I mean, he
from.
lived
That's
in the
what makes it so
Poconos.
weird.
I would
But
kind of go crazy if I lived.
furthermore,
in the Poconos.
about the
we find out
victims,
like he burnt up a bunch of
they
cats or
hadn't
something.
explained who. They hadn't talked about it, but the coroner said that the stab wounds were in the chest and the upper body. We established that. And that one of the victims had defensive wounds on their hams.
I'm telling
meaning
you,
they
I'm
were
telling you what
awake.
happened.
I
He
think
went
it
in.
was Zaina.
He went in and killed the one girl, brutalized her, killed her best friend because she was
Man.
there. Something happened. An altercation must have happened. They must have crossed paths, the 2 of them. Maybe he asked her out and she said, "Go fuck yourself." Maybe it was like met at a bar type of thing. Something happened. He brutalizes her, kills the best friend because she was there. On the way out of the house, there's
Oh.
the boyfriend and the girlfriend on the 2nd floor. They take notice. He goes, "Oh, I can't leave you guys alive."
But
he
leaves
ices
the-
both
the
of
other
them.
He
one
may
alive?
not have saw her. It
Right,
was
and
dark.
then he leaves at the bottom.
It's not like she was standing with a neon sign in the hallway, like, "Look at me, look at
And
me."
it's
She
not
was
like he
looking
searched
a
the
crack through
house.
door.
Like he hit the bottom, according to the chick who
He
lived.
didn't even enter the first floor.
Exactly, he hit the bottom and,
And here-
dipped.
Here's my question for this too, because if we go back and we say from the camera feed, I want to talk about the camera feed for a second. We said in the camera feed you heard a whimpering and then a thud around 417,
Who they believe is Zaina because she was found on the floor.
and then in another security feed you heard a brutal scream.
That was all in the same security.
All in the
camera.
same
Yeah.
security. Okay, so, but you were getting from the Dylan chick, the one who survived, that she didn't hear a scream at all.
Yeah. She just heard.
So the security camera from outside the house picks up a scream. The chick in the same house doesn't hear a scream.
Are you looking for me to answer that question?
No,
'Cause I
but
don't know the answer.
no, I'm throwing out a question. Maybe somebody in our
There's something to found in the fuselage, Frederick.
yeah, it takes to me. It's like it goes to like the DeFeo case where like you shotguns but nobody else heard it. You know what I mean? A shotgun thing and nobody else heard it. How can a camera from outside the house hear that? Because from my point of view, not point of view, but from my experience, the camera systems outside the house, they don't have that good audio. You know,
It's usually
because
very distorted. Like
yeah, extremely distorted. So if it's gonna catch something from inside of the house, I've never heard a camera system. Besides a ring doorbell.
He's not gonna be.
the only thing I can
arraigned
think
until
of-
June, or whatever
The
fuck it's
only
called.
thing I can think of, is if he killed her near an open window. Like at that point, she's projecting her scream out the window and not into the house, which would be significantly louder.
Why would Dylan not hear it? If she heard someone,
Maybe she had her headphones in. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe
but
she was
she
taking
said
a
she
shit.
also heard someone, a girl say there's someone in the house, and then
After she had already woken up from hearing what she thought was Kaylee playing with the dog.
That's the other
upstairs
thing.
Above her.
So
Could have
that's the
been-
thud. So she doesn't hear a scream, but she hears these people talking in low voice.
The dog also
Well,
survived this
can I switch focus over to Koberger because I actually have
I know these are just questions.
No, that's a
that I'm
very
trying-
good
things that
question.
he had said
Piece together.
online about that. He had said, I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. As I hug my family, I look into their faces. I see nothing. It's like I'm looking at a video game, but less. He also said,
right there.
if it were a video game, I could do whatever I want with little remorse.
That's called disassociation.
Yes, 1000%.
so he has no type of
Feelings.
feelings for and empathy for human life whatsoever.
The authorities have not outlined any motive for
No.
the killings, leaving the families of the victims and acquaintances of the accused killer searching for answers.
No. He does, West. The fact that he said that if this was a video game, I could do anything I want shows me that he knows what he is doing is causing him to feel something.
So he has a conscience.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know. I can't.
Well,
I'm not the. I don't know.
No, so to me that sounds like he has a conscience because if you have any type of regard of awareness of what you're doing, well then again, psychopaths also have a very
Well, listen,
understanding of what they're doing too, but sociopaths at least have my understanding of it is that they have empathy in a way towards what they're doing, even though what they know that they're doing is wrong. You know what I mean? But they still have some sort of like
they still have
I
that
feel guilty
right.
mentality.
In online
And it
posts,
doesn't sound like that from this guy.
no. In online posts by Koberger dating from when he was a teenager, he berates himself and talks about a feeling disconnected from society, unable to find meaning in life. He describes an array of mental health challenges, including anxiety, depression, depersonalization, lack of emotion, and the constant thought of suicide.
So he was
So he was fucked up way before the murders even took place.
10 years go by, you don't do anything, and then you decide to kill a bunch of people. I will say this though, that didn't help the fact that he was pursuing a degree in criminology, because if he was feeling if he thought life was meaningless and he could take a life,
Isn't that sort of nihilism?
He would post
in a way,
constantly,
I
I am
guess.
blank, I have no emotion, I have no opinion, I have nothing, can you relate?
it's
That's
almost
nihilism.
it's almost like
I don't know what that is.
nihilism. I
Well,
don't think so.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but nihilism, from my understanding, is like that exact same feeling where you don't believe in anything. You believe that life is meaningless. There's no purpose to life, so you walk around very, I guess you want to say stoic, but it's not really stoic. It's more like
That's a good word.
there's no meaning,
Right.
purpose behind anything. So you walk around like a hollow shell. Correct?
Nihilism is the rejection of all religious and moral principles
Apparently, he was
in the
very
belief that
restrictive,
life
too.
is meaningless. Yes.
He wouldn't. Koberger wrote that he had tried anti-migraine medication, visited a neurologist, and gone on a strict diet, one that avoided sugar and starch to try and resolve the vision problem. I guess he had vision problems.
He did. He had
Uh,
something where everything looked like it was staticky to him sometimes. Like, I think it's called snow syndrome or something like that. Like, if you ever...
What if my boy was living in the Matrix?
We are in the Matrix.
He wouldn't eat any bread, and he would only eat certain fruits. It was
Well, there
very
you go.
restrictive.
Had someone sit him down and give him a nice, nutritious meal, 4 people would still be alive today.
By
Wow,
2012,
bro.
it appeared
Come
that
on.
Mr. Koberger
so
was
by
starting to live
this-
with the problem.
So by this, I'm sorry, by the comedic side of me, that means that breakfast really is the most important meal of the day.
Give
bro.
this man a happy meal.
He also used drugs as a teenager.
Most of us did.
He
I
tried
didn't use
heroin.
any drugs.
That's not something most of us do.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna wrap this up real quick. Do we have any more facts so far on this case, Teresa?
Well, now we know that he was deeply suicidal. He was depersonalized most of the time.
How- suicide.
Because if
I-
you feel like you don't, if your life doesn't mean anything and you can't find enjoyable things in life, and you feel as though, what's the point? I'm just a useless sack of meat.
Then he would have taken himself out. He wouldn't have taken
Right.
4 people out.
Unless...
But this was also 10 years ago. Maybe he got into college and he saw something he was very passionate about, and he
Yes.
found that zest for life.
Well, so
And he said,
That's
damn, what I want, what would be damn zesty for me right now is murking some motherfuckers.
I don't want to kill myself.
Let's kill other people.
I want to kill others.
Right.
So at that point, I don't want to classify him as suicidal then.
This
he was
is
suicidal at one point.
Yeah. Okay.
this is somebody who had an interest in, maybe not an interest is the right word, but he was somebody who felt life was meaningless, and then tried to fix that, and realized if I can't find meaning, I'm gonna give myself meaning.
And this is the meaning he wanted to give himself.
Maybe he wanted to be famous. Maybe he's
I
that
mean,
little girl
like-
on Vine from like 15 years ago. I want to be
or
famous.
let's-
And he
put it
went
like
into
this.
criminology to figure out the best way to be a criminal.
Let's just put it like
And he
this.
fucked it up. Rookie
Let-
mistakes.
No, he didn't fuck it up.
He
He is a
didn't fuck
criminal
it up.
now.
He succeeded.
Well, I mean, like, it's a rookie mistake. Not you don't want to get caught as a criminal. That's
Okay.
the whole point of not
Hold
being
on.
of being a criminal.
Hold
You
on.
don't want to get caught.
So, or he still doesn't value life.
Oh, I don't think he values life at all.
So if he could sit there and not value life, but at the same time continue his.
So why don't they
this-
just fucking kill him?
But it's a power thing, Joe. You don't have to
Hold on.
value life.
State of Idaho
If
permits
if
like execution.
yeah, I'm sure they do.
I
They're gonna
don't-
fry him like a fucking
I
French
don't
Let's
fry.
think
put it
the
like
state
this.
of Idaho has the death penalty.
It won't go to the state of Idaho because he crossed state line. This is a federal case now. Hence why the FBI is involved in it.
I say you throw him off the Grand Canyon.
Let's just put it.
So wait, he crossed from Idaho to.
Wait, he went in from
Before you start
he was
backing your
in
shit
Washington
and
and he
shooting
went
your
to
dog.
Idaho. He went to Idaho.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
So since he
I
crossed state
cropped
lines,
that video and I have it saved in my phone.
since he crossed state lines, this is a federal case, which means it's a federal prosecutors and everything like that. They're the ones who are going to try this.
They're gonna come hard.
Which
and
is
they'll
why
go
the
after
FBI is involved, although
They're
the
gonna come
FBI
hard,
is saying
bro.
they're not involved.
If this was just in Idaho and he lived in Idaho and this was an Idaho murder, the FBI wouldn't have been involved at all. Okay.
I'm trying to play it.
No, yeah. So this is a federal case and it will be tried as a federal.
I think the federales need to fuck him up.
That's Mexico.
I think the Federal Reserve needs to fuck him up.
I think the
The
potato.
Federal Reserve?
I don't know anything about the
I
Fed.
think the.
You want the Illuminati after this motherfucker?
You know what you call Idaho police, right? Potato police.
Potato tots.
potato bitches.
I love you, Idaho.
Yeah, you got the best potatoes out there, bitch.
Them golden ones. Woo wee! I love them yellow girls.
Wait.
The
Yukon
creamers?
Gold is from the Yukon. Idaho potatoes are from Idaho.
But the
Can we,
creamers
like,
come from Idaho.
Okay,
I love creamy potatoes.
This motherfucker was training to be Batman. Can we at least?
That's the
agree
thing
with
that gets me the most.
creamy
If
peanut
I
butter.
don't know how to live my life, I'm going to train myself in ways of taking life, which is why he went down the criminal. It's like someone who's like 17 years old. This is gonna sound fucked up and weird. Just if you're like 17 years old and you're a pedophile, do you go through the training to join the police to get on the sex offenders crime to bust pedophiles?
It's kind of like The Departed.
Dude, I have a question. Like, you're like.
It's kind of like The Departed.
Your theory is so convoluted.
No,
It's
it's
not
not.
convoluted.
I understand what he's saying.
If you're a pedophile at 17 and then you join the police force and do sex crimes, like that's your department to go to. That's what you specialize in. You're going to bust pedophiles, and you have to sit there and watch all of their shit because you have to prove that they're a monster.
Dude, it's like a fucked up version of The Departed.
So although
I'm
you're
telling
bringing him
you.
to justice,
there's a difference.
you're also waxing your carrot too.
The Departed was all about undercover work. That's not undercover work.
But no, because
No,
Matt Damon was a part of the mafia, and he joined.
To be undercover to see what I
Yes,
understand
but
what
that's
you
the
mean.
same thing of being undercover. You're
I
undercover,
don't
but
see it
you
like
are
that.
profiting.
All I'm
Undercover
saying,
You're a mole.
Mr. West or Detective West.
Yes.
This man really sat there and decided to use his villain arc this way. This was his villain arc.
I don't think this is a villain arc. I think he was just fucked up mentally, and then he made a very awful rookie mistake by leaving the sheath behind.
Well, that's what a villain is.
Oh, 1000%. I don't understand how it like.
So you're telling me if
So
the
my
sh-
my
I hate the
question
fact that
is,
we say rookie
if
mistake,
he left
like
the
we've been
sheath
there
behind
before,
there,
like, yeah,
can
you know,
we?
obviously you got to do
If
it this
if
way.
he left the
We never
sheath
kill anybody.
behind, which was next to what Zaina's body,
Yeah.
yeah.
if he left the sheath behind on Zaina's bed, can it be
Excuse me.
concluded that Zaina was the first victim?
Yeah.
If
You
she
have to
was the most-
unsheath
if she
it
was the most
somewhere.
Right.
If she was the most brutalized, then I
No,
would
the
assume-
other
Kaylee.
girl.
Kaylee,
But they were in the same bed. What if they were like,
Ethan. Zaina was in Ethan's bed, or vice
Oh.
versa.
So then he probably had.
So
a-
they found them.
oh, you know what it
first,
might be? It might be, well, you know what? He might have dropped it too. It might have been like tucked in his back pocket.
Possibly.
Wait, so
And
you're
he
telling
was,
me
you know,
that
knifing
he came
everyone?
in through the third floor where the two girls
He came in
were,
from the second floor, walked up the stairs,
to the third floor.
looked. The first bedroom they say that they think he looked in was the bedroom with the dog in it, and he didn't see anybody in there
And he
besides the
didn't wanna
doggy.
kill the
And
dog.
he
What kind of dog was this?
I don't know.
breathing one?
Because if it was like a Chihuahua or
It
something,
was. I don't think it was like an attack dog or something. you know,
that's
that-
that should have like that's the
Dog is
German
useless.
Shepherd didn't do its job.
Yeah.
But they
If that was a pity, we wouldn't be
I've
talking
been
about this
nipped-
right now.
I've been nipped by a German Shepherd. It wasn't even trying to bite me. Well, it was, but like, but it barely got. But it just got me. It grazed me.
It's like brown's my favorite flavor. Yum yum yum.
Brown sugar, I like brown sugar. Anyways, I felt the power behind the jaws of one of those freaking things, and it was just a little nip.
like just at the
I'm
tip
at-
of the teeth. The tip of the teeth.
It's
Like
it's
you
a-
could kick a Chihuahua. Like you could
so-
drop kick a
so,
Chihuahua.
so if
alive
it was a
tonight?
so if it was a German Shepherd, that
Are you staying
motherfucker
for the
would have
live?
would have done his thing.
Exactly. So what kind of dog
I need to
was
see if
this?
Isaiah
Is
wants
my-
dinner. If he doesn't
Oh,
want dinner, then I'll be.
Why
alone.
wasn't the dog doing anything? It wasn't barking. Like, did you put
The
Fufu in
dog
the
was
corner?
barking, but I think he left the dog in the bedroom.
They said they heard the
That's
dog
another
bark.
mistake. He should have killed the dog
Why? What the dog doing?
What is the dog doing?
because you don't want.
Mom
any-
and Dad aren't home. You know what that means? Dog on the couch.
I'll tell you exactly why you killed the dog. No witnesses.
The dog can't talk.
So you tell
This
me
isn't Dog with a
you're,
Blog.
You're gonna kill the dog, but leave the other bitch downstairs alive.
He didn't
He
know
didn't
the bitch
see
was
her!
downstairs.
I'm
Son
sorry.
of a bitch.
She was hiding. The other one was taking a shit. 4 dead
You
people
know what? No,
upstairs,
I
and the
don't
dog.
So you gotta tell me.
She was fucking Bethany was in the bathroom fighting with Satan to get that poop out. And
I don't care. So
This is why you
While
don't go to
listening
that
to
taco
death-
truck.
While listening to death metal, I could just hear, "Dur, dur, dur." Oh man, fuck, man, I shouldn't have had
So
them
you gotta
beans
tell
last
me-
night.
What
you're
happened?
gonna tell me, no, shut up. You're gonna tell me there's two
What if
bitches that
Bethany hits us
survived.
up and say,
There's
"Wow,
two
how'd you
chicks
like
that there's two chicks that
Why you
survived.
acting like
Dylan
that?
and Bethany. Dylan, who does not hear a scream but hears whispers coming from the upstairs
No, she heard the dog and she
people
thought-
talking.
And
The
she
dog.
Thought, yeah, she said, "What the dog doing?"
Right, and she thought Kaylee was upstairs playing with the dog because she heard commotion.
But she also heard. You told me she heard people talking too.
Yeah.
She heard someone say, "There's someone here," and another person, a male, say, "Don't worry, I'm here to help you."
help
Exactly. So she hears that.
Which is
I'm
really
here to help
fucking
you.
dark.
Exactly. You,
That is
you-
pretty scary.
You hear that, and then you see someone walk by you. You don't say nothing till the next morning at 12 o'clock. That's just
She
one
probably just went to bed.
question. That I'm sorry, I'm not sleeping if I see
You're also
someone
from
push it out.
Patterson. You
Dude,
grew
I
up
don't think
here,
I'm gonna
not
sleep
fucking
tonight, and
Idaho.
nobody's
Exactly.
outside.
Teresa, first of all, I'm from Patterson, so I know what gunshots are.
Exactly. Well, he didn't use a gun. He used a knife, which
What
is
I'm
a
saying
silenced
is-
weapon.
What I'm saying is I mind my own
Even
business.
worse.
So it makes more sense for me
Put a
to mind
silencer
my
on a
own
knife?
business because we're from Patterson. We mind our own business. Let's just put it like that. What? Someone knocking at the door?
No.
Okay. So we do mind our own
We're
business.
filming. You can't kill us. We'll have you on YouTube.
I mean, it's recording.
Did you hear that? Did you know what it is?
The wind.
Anywho,
It sounded like footsteps.
it's just a lot of, and this Bethany chick is nowhere to be. Doesn't hear anything from her.
What is she? What? I was asleep. I was taking your shit.
What
This
if
is why you
Bethany
don't go to
was
the
in the
taco
getaway
truck at
car?
2 in the morning.
But what I'm saying
What
is,
if Bethany was driving the getaway car?
yeah, if he turned around and said, "Am I the only one being caught?" or whatever the hell he said.
Wait a minute.
definitely
What time
somebody
was he
else.
pinged the next morning at the house? 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Close. The immediate next time that he was pinged was closer to 5 a.m.
Oh yeah, then she's
There's
definitely in on it.
Closer to 5 a.m.
Think
and
about
then
this, though.
he was pinged at 9 a.m. the next
Okay,
that morning.
think of it this way then. He goes, okay, so they go out and he comes back to the house.
Back.
Who's to say that Bethany didn't go with him? They had breakfast and then came back. He dropped her off.
Let's go look at your artwork, honey.
Think of that though. Like she's sitting there going, oh, he must have not noticed me. I just saw him walk out the house. Right? She lives there.
Dylan lives there and Bethany.
Dylan and Bethany lives there. Bethany's taking a shit. Get her off the chessboard. Dylan says that.
Dylan's not in on it.
How do you know?
Dylan's not in on it.
But Dylan would have been back before the murders were found. The kids were found.
Okay.
So my thing is, if he's going, am I the only one arrested? Maybe he iced the 4 of them, came downstairs, picked up Dylan, they went out for breakfast, he dropped her back off, and then he went on his merry way.
Which is why Dylan wouldn't turn around and hear the scream.
But the scream happened at the time of the murder.
Right, but she was still downstairs.
Or she was in the getaway car.
Which is why he cleaned it out. No evidence.
I don't think Dylan has anything to do with it.
She could just be telling lie. Because I'm telling you, maybe both Bethany and Dylan are in it, and they
If
walk
they-
the house to themselves.
If they find like some like internet chats between the two of them, and I just figured out this case tonight, I want my PhD in Batmanism.
All right. Well, that's the whole Idaho 4 story.
Well, we'll definitely revisit this because he's also going to trial.
Updates, yes.
Last year was the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. I watch one trial a year. This year it's going to be this one. I try to watch one trial a year.
What?
Oh, you're talking about last year.
Yeah, last year was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Last week, and I'm like,
No.
you guys did a true crime episode on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and you didn't fucking invite me.
No. I wouldn't have done that. What I'm saying is, last year I watched the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
That's every fucking day.
Yeah.
Now, how much? Never mind.
This year it's going to be this case.
You know how much work I missed out on?
Hearsay.
I missed out on so much work, and I would go on the floor and tell my agents what was happening in the trial.
And I
Well, you don't
love-
work for that company anymore, so it doesn't
Well,
matter.
technically I do, but I don't work
love
for that
that
section.
they turned around and made a whole song, Objection Hearsay.
Objection, hearsay.
Want to answer that question? Yeah, he has to.
I just a
Where the
mega pint.
Where the
I'm just
fuck
saying.
did they get
Okay.
That
that
was
guy?
a great time to be alive.
That was, I'll be honest. It was that the whole Johnny Depp trial was just, and it just made more faith for Johnny Depp.
Right.
So I think we'll end this here.
I
I mean-
was going through the midst of a breakup during that time, so
Sorry, dude.
so yeah, it was
okay.
a great time to be alive, wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
Fuck.
We don't need you to go through your villain arc right now.
Wait, that was back in April. You had a breakup in April?
Shut up.
I didn't know.
Okay. What?
It is
Anyhow.
okay, because I'm here now.
You're a lot better now.
I am a lot better now. Yo, people have been
April?
complimenting me that mentally I've been like a lot better. So just.
Oh yeah, you scare the shit out of me now. You do Muay Thai, you do handstand push-ups.
I got to 10.
You're gonna be doing that thing where you're up on one finger doing a push-up, and then
I'm gonna start.
You're
doing-
gonna
you
Yusuke
Vegeta?
Urameshi. No, Yusuke Urameshi, and I'm like, fuck this, dude. It's like Eric's gonna be there. I'm sitting on the opposite side of the booth. I don't even want to be near him. His aura hurts me.
I'm intimidated.
All right. So we'll end this here, guys. Thank you for joining us
I'm a sweetheart,
again.
though.
I really enjoyed. This is our first time having 4 people on the True Crime podcast. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun, and
We'll figure out what we're gonna do for next
very,
week.
very. Oh, I have a list already. I already.
Not gonna lie, I
already
like that. Like this is like a little different because of the fact that it actually is real. So it has to force us to actually like
Talk about it.
get on our shit and just
yeah,
talk
most
about it.
definitely. I like it too because it again.
Well, I'm
it's-
happy to be a part of the podcast that everybody likes.
It's a different, and people are paying for it. Yeah. So.
Shout out to everybody that's subscribed to the Patreon.
It's a different beast
Shout out Haley.
and the same
Shout out
monster.
to you, Haley.
Haley
Yes.
Riley. I don't know what your at is, and I'm not gonna out you.
Joey
like that,
knows
but
what the
shout
ad
out
is.
Haley.
Shout out Haley.
Shout out to
Um,
Haley.
Joey knows what
Make
your
it-
ad
Wait,
is.
what's the other? Who's
In
the
the-
other subscriber?
I think the
Invader
other
Zim or something like that?
subscriber.
Invader Jen.
No, I think the other subscriber that we have is our cheesy lord.
The cheese wizards.
The
Is
cheese
the cheese
wizard?
wizard. I think that is our other.
It's our
and-
cheesiness.
He did the $5 one, so we might get his address because I have to send him a mug.
Oh my God, we got to chill with.
I
the
thought
cheese.
he lived in the sewers.
What? Yeah, it's like we're gonna just put it outside next to the fucking manhole cover. You just see a hand reach up.
I'm not gonna lie.
Our cheesy lord.
I would love to see that. Just the manhole, just the manhole cover, just pop open
I think
slightly,
it's-
and then just take the bucket, just go down. and
I
then
just
the bucket-
imagine he's like he wears a bunch of rags, like he's covered. His whole body's like
No.
a robe of rags with a
Thank
cheese head.
you.
In our cheese,
Who called him your cheesiness?
I did.
we all did.
We all did because he's
Yeah,
the cheese wizard.
Cheese wizard.
Our
Our
telling you,
cheesiness.
he's the type of person.
He loves it.
He's getting up there. He's getting up there. Like you start saying stuff like he's watching us live right now, even though this is not live. Like that's what our cheesiness is doing. All right.
Well, shout out to the Patreon subscribers.
Yes. Thank you, Patreon
shout out
subscribers. For any,
To TikTok because
I have
we're
a
having
couple more people
huge
who
thing.
might be subscribing to the Patreon subscribers.
We should do a
I
thing like at 1,000 Patreon subscribers, Joey will shave his head, like something like that.
Get the fuck out of here! I'm not shaving my head.
I'll shave my head.
Teresa will shave her head for
Dude,
1,000.
I'll be broken up with, but I'll shave my head.
It's for content.
That's not.
I will
shaving
go
your head.
hairless entirely on my head.
No, that's
No
weird.
eyebrows, no hair.
Let's not do that.
No,
Don't do that.
no,
Don't do that.
nothing.
Don't do
You'd
that.
scare
My
the
God,
fuck out
you
of
would
me.
look
you
like the
cue ball.
freaking tire man.
I would.
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
Let's not do that. Let's not.
Why?
That's weird.
Why?
It's weird.
It's very weird. I don't want to do that. I will never visit you anymore.
Okay, you don't visit me anyway.
Oh my God, you would be like Doja Cat.
Like Doja Cat, or maybe Joey will shave his beard.
No.
Yeah, do that.
Joey will
I'll
be
shave-
Anthony,
naked.
shave your
I'll
beard.
shave.
Ah!
What?
If we get to 1,000, Joey will do a podcast naked.
Mm,
And it would have to be during the summer.
I'm down for that. I mean, I don't want to see you naked, but I think it'd be funny.
if Joey gets,
Why is it always Joey?
Okay.
Why
Because
can't it be
Anthony
anybody
will do
else?
anything.
hold on. If we hit 1,000, Joey and I we should all do except for you a episode shirtless.
Yes,
fine
I'll
with
show
that.
off my
I-
pecs.
we're
I'll show
not
off
going-
my fucking pecs.
We're not going after Anthony because asking him to do something is easy. It's like, Anthony, try and do a backflip for a chicken nugget, and
Well,
he'll
no,
go outside and try and do a backflip.
I told you, Anthony. I said to Anthony, shave
I'm
your
a
beard, and he
whore.
said no, just like me. So he won't do anything.
Yeah, I don't want to shave my beard. Then I look fat.
You look. Never mind.
I would look like a dyke if I shaved my beard.
Oh, I don't think we could put that up there.
So close.
You know what? Fuck it. You're paying for it now. You're paying for this content. This is R-rated. NC-17.
This is who I am, people. I am fucked up.
NC-17. You know, we're gonna sit here.
You gotta be. You gotta.
If
make-
you're paying for it, we could sit there and absolutely turn around and offend anyone we
That's
want.
right. Now I'm gonna whip out.
It's private ownership, bro.
That's right. You're
We
paying
have
for
the
this
right.
content.
See,
So-
we can also, if we
America.
really wanted to.
This is still
you see
recorded,
how
isn't
on TikTok they have a lot of those try not to laugh things. We can do that if we wanted to.
Yeah.
I'd lose in 5 seconds.
You know,
Yeah,
especially
so-
with the racial jokes.
Oh dear God. You're paying for this content. This is completely unrated and unethical. And now
Unethical.
we're gonna turn to Me Manifesto, where I'm gonna open this up and I'm gonna tell you all the things that's wrong with this world.
No, we're not doing that right now.
I don't
we're,
have the
we're-
kind of time.
Yeah, we're gonna
Starting
end this
with the
episode.
Here we go.
blacks.
We're gonna end. We're gonna end this episode. Thank you guys for joining us again.
Thank you.
We'll catch you guys later.
Arigato, minasan.
Blacksmiths are the worst
It is-
people on earth.
Good night, guys.